Hi, perhaps you have been looking or considering how to start your first greenhouse. Now, it can be overwhelming when you begin this journey because there are so many different types of materials and construction design possibilities. Here at Skybound Acres, we approach greenhouse design through the lens of production. In other words, why are we building this greenhouse? It's to produce some kind of crop, to help that crop grow to its fullest potential. And so we need to consider things like light transmission, climate protection, durability, and of course, cost, both the initial cost and upkeep throughout the life of the greenhouse. In order to begin our journey on the materials for constructing a greenhouse, I need to introduce a term called glazing. Glazing is the translucent or transparent material that allows sunlight to pass through it and reach the crops. In this video, we'll discuss the two most common types of glazing. That is polyethylene film and polycarbonate sheets. The most common form of polycarbonate panel is a twin wall design. The twin wall design allows for greater heat retention. It also allows for more diffuse lighting, which reduces the stress for plants. An additional benefit of polycarbonate is durability. Polycarbonate is generally 10 to 20 plus years in lifespan. The cons of polycarbonate are greater initial cost and an increased complexity in installation. When we refer to greenhouse plastic, we're typically talking about polyethylene film. Now, this film is what you see on the greenhouse behind me, and it has a very low, one of the cheapest initial installation cost. It also has high light transmission, and it's easy to install. Cons of polyethylene film are the low durability. It can easily be punctured or torn with high winds. The insulation value is very low. A single sheet of plastic is not going to keep the cold air out and the hot air in. Finally, polyethylene film has a short lifespan. You can expect to get about 3 years of life out of this material before it needs to be replaced. When you're considering which material, I would also consider the types of crops you're growing. Is your crop a high-value crop? Is it very important to protect your crop from the elements? And if you lost that crop, would it be detrimental? And when we say detrimental, that means, are you losing the entire season? Or is this just a minor setback and 2 weeks later you'll be off and running again? If your crop is a high value crop, perhaps you want to invest a little more in a structure that will resist the wind, that will resist debris. Finally, when comparing the two, you must think about the upkeep required for that structure, the labor that's going to go into maintaining that structure. Buying a hoop house and covering it with polyethylene film means in about 3 years, you'll be recovering it in polyethylene film. Your production will need to take a break so that you can basically refurbish your greenhouse. Finally, remember, glazing is not just a covering, it's a production decision. So how do you choose? Well, I would say if you are a seasonal grower, if you are looking for low upfront costs, the polyethylene film is a great starting point to get your foot in the door. However, if you are a long-term grower, you want to grow year-round, or you're growing in a harsh climate, you're going to need to consider the polycarbonate design. If you want more information on hydroponic systems, hydroponic growing, and all things related to controlled environment agriculture, subscribe below.